I see it every summer. My gym buddies, my friends, even my paying customers, they are showing up, they're consistent, and some of them are even locked the fuck in. But every summer comes around and it's almost like they fall off the face of the earth. They stop showing up, their nutrition goes off to the side, their workouts start to taper off, and before they know it, they are completely off track and they don't know what to do in order to get back on track again. And no, it's not that you're lazy. It's not that you need more motivation. What we're talking about here is self-sabotage, which is essentially getting in your own way, even though you have goals that you want to achieve. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is something that is very normal and very common. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't talk about this. There's not a lot of coaches that are talking about this subject. And the reality is, if you are struggling with self-sabotage, if you're someone who starts to get some consistency, you're starting to get a little bit of momentum, and then before you know it, you are completely off track and you are making the decisions that you know you shouldn't be making, and you are not doing the things that you know you need to be doing in order to reach your goal, this is going to get in your way every single time. It doesn't matter how great your workout program is. It doesn't matter how awesome your nutrition plan is. If you don't know how to deal with self-sabotage, it's going to get in the way of your success. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I see it over and over again. The reality is, if we don't know how to deal with self-sabotage, it's just going to get worse and worse with time. So self-sabotage looks like this. I'll just enjoy the weekend, and it ends up being a week-long party. Or it could be having one off-plan meal and you end up spiraling for the rest of the day, or even worse, the rest of the week. This could be skipping workouts just because your schedule at the moment isn't quite perfect. It also looks like waiting for motivation or starting over every Monday, or even worse, that thought, I'll just get back on track after summer's over. We don't want to do that, because the longer we put this off, the harder it's going to be, and a lot of times conditions get worse. Weight gain starts creeping on month after month. Our energy starts to take a nosedive. Our motivation starts to wane. And let's be real here. In our 40s, motivation, energy, all of those things are hard as it is. So if we don't know how to deal with self-sabotaging behaviors, which by the way is very normal and everyone does it, then it's going to get in the way of our goals. But the good news is that there is actually a solution to this. It really just takes a little bit of awareness, listening to what you're telling yourself, and taking just a few shifts in order to fix this. Okay, and I'm even gonna say some of my clients, sometimes their eyes kind of gloss over when I talk about this stuff, because it can feel and sound a little woo-woo. But the reality is that the way you think, the way that you talk to yourself, the beliefs that you have about yourself and your ability to change, all of those things is going to directly impact how you act. It's going to impact how you show up, because your thoughts are directly tied to your actions. The reason why you know what to do, but you don't follow through, is because you have self-sabotaging behaviors. It's because of your thoughts that you have about yourself, the beliefs that you have about processes, things like macro counting, lifting heavy. All of those things are going to impact your actions. And I think we all know that if we want to lose weight, if we want to have good body composition, if we want to look lean and toned, that is going to take a certain level of action, right? And it's going to take not only action, it's going to take consistent action. So this is why, yes, I'm very much a strategy type coach. When you work with me, guys, we do strategy stuff. We don't sit around and talk about our thoughts and feelings all the time. Like, that's not it. I'm talking strategy. I'm talking about having phases. You guys hear me talk about this all the time. Having phases with your body composition, having times at maintenance, doing times in a fat loss phase, like very strategic, reverse dieting, things like macro counting, having the right amount of macros. Yes, those things are really, really important. But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to deal with self-sabotaging behaviors, again, it doesn't matter how great your program is. It doesn't matter how well designed it is. It doesn't matter if it's designed just for you. The reality is, this is going to get in your way every single time. I want you all to realize that self-sabotage isn't always obvious, and a lot of times it feels very justified, and it's really subtle as well. Like, it doesn't sound bad at all to tell yourself, one more is not going to hurt. Or you know what, I've been good all this week. I might as well just relax a little bit. In our brain, that sounds totally rational, right? Like that can sound very understanding. But if we're always caving into these things, then we're probably not going to reach the goals that we want to have. Now, I do want to be very, very clear here that it is not always the best time to change. It's not always the best time for fat loss. It's not always the best time to start lifting weights. I totally understand that. And there's a lot of reasons why for this. In everyone's life, we all have unique situations. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm one of those coaches. I believe in autonomy, and I believe that what you want to do is totally up to you. And we have to consider things like, what is our energy right now? If we can't do the things in order to lose fat, then there's really no point in forcing that, is what I'm trying to say. You have to find things that you're willing and able to do right now in this moment. And that doesn't always mean fat loss. So it's always going to be up to you, but you have to manage your expectations. And I always come back to this. This is something I've been coming back to a lot lately, is that if you want fat loss, there's a certain amount of behaviors that you need to do consistently in order to get the results that you want. You're not going to be able to lose fat and keep it off if you're just like 50-50 in it. And I'm even going to say the whole 80-20 thing with fat loss at this age, honestly, it probably needs to be more around 90-10. So there's going to be a time and a place to tighten things up. But I'm talking to the people that do want change. They want to see physical results. They do want to feel better. They do want to manage their perimenopausal symptoms. That is going to require some bare minimum things, and we're going to be getting into that a little bit later. And it's not only going to be just doing the bare minimum, but it's going to be showing up consistently. So what we're going to be talking about today is the root causes. But I also, before we get into all that, I do want to explain why this is happening, okay? Like I was saying in the beginning, it's not that you're lazy. I hear that all the time. Like, I'm just lazy, Courtney. I don't know. I don't know why I know what to do, but I don't do it. I'm just fucking lazy, I guess. It's like, no, you're not lazy. You know why you're like this is because everyone is like this. So our brain is just doing its job. You know what our brain's job is? It is to keep us safe and make things easy, okay? It's to conserve your energy. So this is exactly why you have things like excuses and justifications. And hey, I'm not saying that you have it. I have it too. Believe me, I have all sorts of excuses and justifications every single day. There's shit I don't want to do. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that your brain is actually doing its job. And like I was saying earlier, self-sabotage is not very obvious. It's very subtle, and it feels justified in the moment. Like I was saying, sometimes those phrases that we say to ourselves, like, I've been great all week with my diet, I might as well just relax a little bit. And there is truth in that. But also, if we're constantly on or off, like 100% on or 100% off, that is not going to serve you, no matter what your goal is. Even if you don't have a weight loss goal, even if you just want to get healthier, that is not going to serve you. So that's exactly what we're talking about today. I want you to think about the brain as two different parts. This is what helps me. So you have a higher part of your brain, which we are going to call the adult part of your brain, okay? This is the part of your brain that actually has goals, aspirations, and dreams. This is the part of your brain that thinks rationally, like, okay, we need to do this and this and this today, or I need to focus on all of these things in order to get the result that I want. So very responsible, very rational, can see clearly. But then we have the toddler part of our brain, okay? And this one comes out especially when we're dysregulated. So if we have a dysregulated nervous system, you better freaking bet that this part of your brain is gonna come out. This is the part of your brain that is trying to keep you safe, that wants to play small, that wants to conserve energy. So the language sounds more like this. Oh, one more isn't gonna hurt. You only live once. You can just start over tomorrow. Just go ahead and enjoy yourself. We can fix this later. That is the part of your brain that's keeping you stuck. So you have that adult part of your brain and then the toddler part of your brain. So I kind of think of it as this. The adult part is making the good decisions. This is a part of your brain that's like, we're gonna lock down and do these things. We're gonna start working out. We're gonna start making some changes to our nutrition. But then your toddler part of your brain is throwing a temper tantrum in the background. So it's kind of like we go back and forth. I can eat my meal prep, but I really just want to go through the drive-thru. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a very human thing. And again, this is just your brain doing its job. But the problem is that we have thousands of thoughts a day, and it can be really chattery. I know for me, I have chatter going on 365, 24/7. It's so hard because it's one of those things, we have so many thoughts, and it's really easy to get into these thought patterns and these belief systems. But if we're just quiet and we start listening to how we talk to ourselves, the beliefs that we have about ourselves, then we can start getting clear and we can start to dismantle those things. We can start to talk back to our excuses even. This is something that I teach one-on-one. Like, if you keep having these justifications and excuses keep coming up, you know what you can do? You can become aware of them and you can learn how to talk back to them. So essentially, having some kind of comeback, like, if I do that, then I'm probably not going to see any progress this week. And I don't know if I'd be okay with that. So that's what I'm talking about, talking back to excuses. So yeah, like I was saying, this is a little woo-woo. I can be a little woo-woo. I am a hippie chick. And I do like things like crystals and meditation and things like that. But guys, this is the missing piece, especially if you're one of those people who you have some consistency down. Maybe you have been consistent with working out or making changes to your nutrition, but when that goes to shit every couple months because things come up like summer or the holidays, then you're just right back to where you started. And I understand this because I've actually been there. I've coached a lot of women through this whole thing as well. It can be really, really frustrating when you start to get momentum and then you fall off, and then it's really hard to get motivated and started again. But without further ado, ladies, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the root causes of what is causing the self-sabotage. All right, so the first one is all or nothing thinking. Okay, this is a big one. This is basically not doing it all if it can't be perfect. I see this a lot. I even see this with some coaching clients in the beginning. So this might look like I'll see 3 workouts done from a new client, and then it's kind of like the next week is nothing. It's almost like if I can't get all 3 in, then I'm just not going to do any of it. I think you guys can probably relate. Some of you guys might be able to relate to that. So that's what I'm talking about, all or nothing. So it's either like you're either 100% locked in, doing things perfectly, or you're just not doing it at all. This can be probably one of the worst things to try to get out of because this can be a very vicious cycle. And the reason is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you start taking action, and then it's almost like you prove to yourself, like, see, I can't stick with anything. I might as well just fucking enjoy myself. Like, why even fucking bother? So this is what I'm talking about. What happens is not only do you feel defeated because you can't stick to something, but then that starts to just trigger more and more negative self-talk. And I hate to be woo-woo again, but you know, honestly, the way you talk to yourself does affect the way that you show up, okay? It is going to affect the actions that you take or don't take, and that is going to dictate your results that you get. That's literally like a cycle. Think, feel, act. You think a certain way, you feel a certain emotion, you act a certain way, and then you get a result. And then it's just like a never-ending cycle. If you don't believe that you can actually change, if you don't believe that weight loss or body recomposition is in the cards for you, then you're probably going to have a hard time showing up and doing the work and being consistent with it. So all or nothing thinking is a perfectionist thing. It's very, very common. I have dealt with this a lot with fitness and nutrition. I don't struggle with it hardly at all anymore, but I've done a lot of work. I've been doing this work for a long time. But all or nothing thinking, that's really, really important to dismantle because it's one of those things that you're just not going to see results if you have lots of inconsistency, a lot of starts and stops, because you can do a lot of damage when you're off track, when you're doing nothing. So that's something that does need to be addressed. All right, so the second root cause of why you self-sabotage is identity. This is a huge disconnect that I see with a lot of my customers is they don't have the right identity. Okay, this is negative self-talk. It could sound something like, I'm just not someone who follows through. What do you think you're gonna fucking do if you keep telling yourself this? Not fall through? Probably. Yeah. It could also sound like something like, see, I'm just never going to lose the weight. I'm never going to figure this out. Or I'm just not a gym person. You are literally going to do what you believe. Like I was saying earlier, your thoughts are going to influence your feelings, and your feelings are always going to dictate the actions or the inactions that you take. Okay, for example, I consider myself an athlete. I'm someone who goes to the gym 4 days a week, and I actually enjoy it. I consider myself a gym girl. Now, you don't have to have that type of identity. That's just something that's been manifested throughout the years, and it's just kind of went into that direction. But it could also be something like, you know what? I'm a fit and healthy 50-year-old, okay? But here's the deal. You are not going to be a fit and healthy 50-year-old if you have self-defeating thoughts like, I'm just someone who doesn't follow through. A fit and healthy 50-year-old is not someone who doesn't follow through, right? So you have to change that narrative. So again, it's one of those things you have to pay attention to how you speak to yourself. You have to pay attention to the identity that you put on yourself, because it is really hard to shift. It's very, very hard to show up at the gym when you don't believe that you belong there. So we have to start shifting that identity. And I know it's a little cheesy, but sometimes you do. You kind of have to like fake it until you make it. Sometimes you have to listen to that self-defeating thoughts, and you have to change that narrative, okay? You need to challenge that. This is really, really important because your actions need to align with the person that you want to become. And sometimes you're not quite there yet, and that's totally understandable. So sometimes, yeah, you do need to just kind of fake it until you make it. That's exactly what I did 20 years ago. I was completely out of shape. Are you kidding me? I got on an elliptical machine and I couldn't even stand up straight because I had no core strength. I was in my 20s. I was in my early 20s and I was out of breath in 30 seconds. But you know what? I was like, no, I want to figure this out. I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. So even though this is really hard, I'm going to have to, probably make some adjustments to my training and ease into things. But I also knew that doing things like, I'm just going to keep getting more and more out of shape. No, you have to change your narrative. So a lot of it is, what do I want my end result to be? And I'm going to tell you right now, some of y'all don't know what the fuck you want. I get on calls with you guys to talk about possibly joining me with my coaching, and a lot of you don't know what you want. So I highly recommend looking into that. Like, what is the transformation that you actually want? Okay, I think this is really, really important. And yeah, get specific. Do you want to lose fat? Do you know, how much? Do you want to build muscle? So get really, really specific. But also, I do want to say, it's not just about looks. What do you want your life to actually look like? How do you want to feel? I think that's really important too, to think about not just the aesthetics, not just about how you look, but I think it's really important of what do you want your life to actually look like? And I think that can really go a long way with picking out the identity of the person that you actually want to become. And this is something, again, that we do inside of my one-on-one coaching membership. All right, we have one more reason, root cause, about why you self-sabotage, and this is emotional avoidance. Okay. So emotional eating, you guys are probably a little familiar with this. This is something I struggled with back in my 20s and a little bit in my 30s after my divorce. Very, very normal. But essentially, emotional eating is using food as a way to feel better. It's a way of dealing with difficult emotions. But think of it in this context, stress eating. For example, you might be someone who snacks during the workday as a way to avoid uncomfortable feelings. So feeling frustrated at work, not feeling heard, trying to avoid things like, I can't fucking deal with this right now. Have you ever felt like that before at work? And then before you know it, you're going after the fucking chips and dip and you're elbow deep and you ate like half the fucking bag. Sometimes we stress eat and sometimes we do that after work. This could look like maybe after work you find yourself sitting down with the ice cream every day at the same time because it's making you feel better. And here's the thing that you need to know about this is your brain actually remembers that. So you get a dopamine hit, and whenever you eat, especially if you eat something really yummy, your brain is going to actually remember. So, do you remember when we ate that ice cream after work? We actually felt better. Well, it's not necessarily that you felt better, it's just your brain lit up with dopamine. Your brain will actually remember that. So this is why a lot of you all are dealing with cravings for certain foods at the same time every day. That's exactly what that is. Your brain is going to remember that, and it's like, oh, remember whenever we had that treat or that food? That was exactly when I felt better. So then your brain starts to believe that this is actually a way for you to feel better. It's not really making you feel better. I mean, it might in the moment, so it might be a temporary relief. So think of it kind of like a glass of wine or a cigarette. It might offer relief in the moment, but after, a lot of times there can be a lot of guilt and shame, right? There can be tummy upset. There could be weight gain. There's a lot of things that can happen as a result. It could also be something like overwhelm. So overwhelm and then avoiding things. This is another way that we emotionally avoid. This could look just like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just can't deal with the workouts right now. Sometimes we disengage, we fall off track, we stop working out, or we stop focusing on our nutrition changes that we've been making because it's a way of dealing with overwhelm. So I see that a lot. When people get busy, a lot of times they do fall off because they're feeling overwhelmed and they don't really know how to handle it. But like I was saying, most of the time it's only going to be a temporary fix. And in fact, this can really become more of a problem than the temporary relief is actually worth. So those are the 3 root causes, okay? So we talked about all or nothing behavior. We talked about identity, how important that is. So that way you're making aligned action toward your goals. And then we also talked about emotional avoidance. So all 3 of these things can be the root cause of why you're self-sabotage. So we pair this along with the summer trap. And this can be really any time of year, like the holidays. You can totally switch this out for the holidays. You have more social events. You have less routine. Does that sound familiar? And you might have the idea that I just want to live my life. And that's totally okay. But here's the thing. You need to realize your life is never going to slow down. It's never going to slow down. It's always going to be something. And yeah, it could be a busier season, and that could be part of the issue. But I'm also going to call you out here because you just need to figure out what you need to do for your fitness routine to actually make sense with your fucking life right now. Because some of you all are trying to do way too much shit. And I even tell that to my girls in Lean Physique. We talk mostly nutrition and training. We have a lot of strategy, but we also talk about things like stress relief and sleep and things like that. But I don't expect my girls to have every fucking thing like down. No, really, honestly, you really only need like 2 or 3 healthy habits that are done consistently and done over time. Okay, you do not have to do every single thing perfectly. I think that's really what trips us up, and I think that's why a lot of people self-sabotage in the first place, is that they feel overwhelmed trying to do all of these things that people think are required for fat loss, which actually is not, which I probably need to do a podcast on that. But the struggle is real. Like, that's a reality. You do. You have more social events. You have barbecues. You have graduations. You have baby showers. You have pool parties. You have vacations. So you have a lot of temptations. You have a lot of triggering situations. So put that on top of how our brain works and self-sabotage that most of us do. And I will say, listen, I self-sabotage as well. But here's the thing. I know when I'm doing it. I've gained some awareness to my defeating thoughts, my identity shifts that I've had to do. I've been really aware of that, and now I can shut it down like that. This is something that you can do too. So I just want to normalize that self-sabotage is actually very, very normal. So pair those 2 together, and yeah, you got a recipe for a slippery slope. You got a recipe for self-sabotage. So in my Facebook group, in my private Facebook group for Lean Physique, we did go through a 4-step process of what you can do to beat self-sabotage. I'm going to share with you one, but here's what's going to change everything for you. Build a messy plan, okay? It's going to look like this. You need a B- plan, and you need a plan B. So a B- plan is literally what I was just talking about. It's instead of trying to do everything perfectly, just do 1 or 2 things. Do the bare minimum. All right. Listen, if you guys want a little help with this, download my food noise fix. I'm gonna put the link, if you guys are watching on Facebook, as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna put that into the comments. If you're listening to my podcast, it's in the show notes. The food noise fix is going to change everything for you. I've gotten so much good feedback on this free resource, completely free. You guys can sign up for it and you'll get immediate access, but this is going to help you cut through the noise of what actually fucking matters when it comes to your body recomposition. This is so, so important because, again, we do not want to check out because it's the inconsistency. It's the not showing up at all. It's doing nothing and waiting for the right time to get back to it. The food noise fix is actually going to walk you through how to just pick out a few key behaviors to focus on, so that way you can keep the ball rolling even when your life is fucking insane, okay? So download that in the comments, or if you're listening on the podcast, I'm gonna put the link to grab that in the show notes. So that is how you're gonna get your B- plan. It's not perfect, it's not 100%, but you know what? It's enough to keep you consistent. And that's exactly what it's going to take to reach your goal, is time and consistency, okay? The other thing, you need to have some kind of plan B for when things go sideways, which they will. What kind of triggers are you dealing with? What kind of struggles do you have right now? What does your life look like? I ask all these questions and I have a deep understanding of all of my clients, what they do for work, what their personal life looks like. Are they married? Do they have kids? Do they have dogs? Like all of these things. This is really, really important, guys, because you need a plan that actually makes sense for your life. And you need to have a plan B. This is so, so important. Because this way, if something happens, you already have that plan B already made out. And this is literally the issue with most of you all. You go in, you try to be fucking perfect, and then when you can't be perfect, and it's never going to end up being perfect, you throw your hands up and you say, fuck it. So it's really, really important to have some kind of plan B. If this happens, then I will blank. You literally already have that planned out in your brain because you're anticipating things might go sideways. And you know what? They probably will. All right? That's just life. So that is the little takeaway from today. You need to have some kind of B- plan. That's good enough. And you need to have some kind of plan B. And again, guys, grab the food noise fix. If you're tired of starting over, if you're tired of the lack of results, if you're tired of figuring this out for fucking years, now's the time to take action. And a lot of times working with a coach can really help you get your results a lot faster. And you can get over this frustrating start and stop and being inconsistent and starting a new thing every Monday. So I truly hope this was helpful. And if you guys are listening to my podcast, I would really appreciate a review. I do need more reviews because when you guys review my podcast, it actually helps push my podcast to more women. And that's exactly what I want. I want to be able to help as many women as I can. So I really appreciate your support. Thanks for being here, and I will talk with you soon. Okay, bye for now.